Good evening. My name is Vaishnavi, and I'm the Executive Director of Bhumi. Firstly, I would like to thank you for joining us, and I hope that you're well and safe. In these testing times, I would like to take a few minutes. Sorry. In these testing times, I would like to take a few minutes to share what Bhumi has been doing to support those in distress. We recognize that daily wage laborers are the most affected. We have set up a helpline for these people who offer assistance to us in many, many ways. There could be someone who irons your clothes, sells flowers, someone who painted your house, or supports with your daily cleaning. While a set of volunteers have been mobilized to return their calls, the calls that come into this helpline, we also have others who are writing to families, friends, and every well-wisher possible to seek funds that are then being mobilized to meet the needs of these daily wagers. If you are not part of this and would like to support, we invite you to register on this link that you see, bhumi.ngo/COVID. Alternatively, if you think that someone needs our support, this is the number that you can pass on, 9999713542. And our volunteers from the helpline team will be reaching out to them. Once you sign up to volunteer, you will be invited to join an online orientation that will introduce you to the teams that you can be a part of. We believe that your support, even if it is online, will be of immense value to these people. So do consider joining our team of Corona warriors. A couple of weeks back, Bhumi launched a fellowship in education. And for those who are very new to our work, Bhumi is a non-profit organization that has been working with underprivileged children across the country, particularly in education, for over 13 years now. We cater to the needs of children at orphanages, urban slum communities, and low-income schools. So what do we do at orphanages? We run a weekend volunteering program. We mobilize young volunteers from across the country to teach English, math, science, computers, life skills, robotics, arts, and sports. We also have after-school learning centers managed by part-time tutors in 25 urban slum communities in Chennai, the focus being literacy and numeracy and life skills. We have also been working with low-income private schools, with the focus being whole school transformation, through in-school fellows who work directly with the teachers, children, and the school leaders. Our work has also been benefiting many children across the country in the form of scholarships for school and higher education. As an organization that is built on the principles of youngsters doing their bit to improve the socioeconomic conditions of the country, we launched the fellowship to create deeper impact. Today we have a very special speaker with us who's going to share her journey and how being a part of a fellowship transformed her experiences. But before that, I would like to introduce to you the other vertical or the other program that mobilizes volunteers for civic welfare. So the idea for Bhumi, we are also built on the principle of volunteering. We aim to make volunteering a national habit. So we have identified key domains like environment, animal welfare, disability, largely aligned to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. We've mobilized over 18,000 volunteers across the country. We work closely with corporates. We also work with like-minded organizations to help them with their volunteering needs. Now, what is this 2-year paid fellowship? What is it going to offer to you? We believe that this fellowship, the Bhumi Fellowship in education, with the focus being whole school transformation, will offer people like you to understand the system, immerse you in a classroom as a teacher, design and implement strategies to challenges that low-income schools often face. You will also get an opportunity to work closely with teachers and headmasters on their professional development. Additionally, you will engage with the community to widen your perspectives. The experience is tailored around building the skills of potential change agents. And at the end of 2 years, we are hopeful that you will be ready to join us as social entrepreneurs. When I was first introduced to the concept of fellowship, I had many questions, and I'm certain that you do too. To give us a better understanding of how going through a fellowship can transform you professionally and personally, like I said, we have someone exceptional. She's one of my favorite people, particularly for her passion and commitment to this sector. It's immense. And I have had the opportunity to work with her closely. Vaishnavi Srinivasan is an educator and community organizer. Her volunteering experiences introduced her to the many challenges underprivileged children face. She quit a full-time job with a multinational company to work with Bhumi full-time. And when she wanted to go a level deeper to understand what it really takes to improve learning outcomes, she pursued the 2-year Teach for India Fellowship. This introduced her to the complexities of urban slum communities, which eventually pushed her in the direction of creating sustainable and self-reliant communities with education as a means. Today, she's consulting with program design and development at StoryEd. A very warm welcome to you, Vaishnavi. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Vaish. Um, Lovely to be here.
We're really excited, and without any further delay, I'm just going to dive into a couple of thoughts or triggers that will, get started with. After which, we will also be inviting questions from the audience. So we know that you're a volunteer with Bhumi, and since 2008, you've held several leadership positions as a volunteer. Now, can you walk us through your experience before deciding to do a fellowship in 2013?
So, 2008, I joined as a volunteer because one of my classmates, when I was doing my PG program, she was part of Bhumi, and she used to talk so much about how lovely it was to work with children and all these amazing friends she has with Bhumi. And one random celebration that she pulled me into was the Diwali celebration at PVR. And I wouldn't forget that day because I had so much fun, and it was wonderful, the energy with the volunteers and the children. So that got me started. But over the next 2 to 3 years, I got completely absorbed into multiple facets of Bhumi, and it gave me a sense of this is what I wanted to do. Even when I was in Bangalore, when I was working with the corporate, I spent more time doing Bhumi activities, being on mobile or email or whatever that is. I was more involved in this than in any other activities in my life then. So when the decision came, should I continue in my career path, or if there was an opportunity for me to step in and do this full time, I wanted to do that. But it also made me question my level of understanding of what is it that I'm committing to. I realized that this is what I wanted to do, but am I qualified to do it? Um, did I have the right understanding of what it requires from me? I was not very sure I had a good sense of it. I still grappled with the question for about a year, and around end of 2012, one of my good friends, again a Bhumi volunteer, Vijay Anand, he introduced me to his fellowship experiences. He was a Teach for India fellow then, and I was fascinated by the wonderful things he was doing in his classroom.
Right.
And he encouraged me to apply for TFI. I was still not very sure, but I thought the taking a step towards a practical learning, there's not going to be a course where someone is going to give you all the information, all the knowledge that you're going to gain, but you're going to actually be on the field and learn. There is a lot of learning that's going to happen, but a lot depends on the person. There
Right.
is no guarantee his experiences are definitely going to be mine,
Right.
but he definitely encouraged me to take the step. It was a blind step forward then, but I'm so happy I did that, and that's how I stepped into TFI fellowship.
Right.
Over the years, I've also realized that I, as a person, have also been very fortunate to have this practical learning experience, because I know there are people who complete a fellowship, then go do a master's and realize that they learned more during the fellowship than in the master's.
Right.
Uh, so I think the practical learning definitely has a lot of value, and it also puts you directly on the forefront of what the problem is, how do you understand it, and what is it that you want to do.
Right.
When the problem is so large, there are multiple things that require attention.
Correct.
And as one person, you may want to solve everything, but what is it that you can do, and what is it that really tugs at your heart, and you feel so connected deeply that you can't think of anything else. So that is a realization that wouldn't have come to me without the fellowship.
Right. So you mentioned that someone inspired you to take on the journey of the fellowship. Interestingly, we've reached out to Vijay Anand, and he's going to be sharing his experiences on a video very soon.
Brilliant.
So I want to know, dive a little deeper and understand what were your expectations when you went into the fellowship. I know that you have a really long period at the institute, and that is the first time that you're actually getting into the fellowship itself. So, what were some of your expectations when you got it?
So I had definitely discussed with Vijay to get a sense of what the fellowship would be like, and he was a fellow in another city, so he shared the experiences of how he was going through it. And I was also banking on some level of confidence, because I've handled children for 2 to 3 years, being a volunteer, teaching in a classroom. So how difficult can this really be? And then I had the shock of my life, because I did not have a really big class. A lot of my other co-fellows had 30, 40, even 50 children in a class, but I was fortunate to have 20 children, and those 20 were enough to make me pull all the hair off my head. So uh, it was wonderful realization that whatever I've learned is probably putting me on the right path, but I don't know enough.
Right.
And a lot of the trials that happened during the time was also uh, counterintuitive to me, because I thought if you have a good class, I worked in one of the private schools, so it gave me a sense of the school is already set up. All I need to do is go and teach, but that is not what the schooling itself does. Just having a building, just having children inside the building is not enough to give them the right education. These were all realizations that I got after being in the classroom.
Right.
I probably expected that the children are going to be naughty, mischievous, happily jumping about, but my realizations were also that all of them wanted to learn.
Hmm.
All of them were eager and talented and uh, extremely high potential children, but not always in the same manner. And
Right.
they needed was a right kind of support.
Correct.
Sometimes it's not enough if you have a right teacher. You also
Hmm.
need the right support from where you're coming
Correct.
from the parents, from what you get on a everyday basis in terms of your food
Hmm.
matters a lot. All of these were realizations that probably, I mean, I've read reports that said children are malnourished, so they are unable to learn. But it becomes so real when you're able to see that in front of you.
Right.
And then you connect the dots and say, if I have to work with the children, it is important that I need to work with the family. It is
Right.
important that the family has the right understanding of what the child needs.
Hmm.
So you are able to see the larger picture much easier.
Hmm.
And these were not things that I had thought of earlier, and
Hmm.
these were not things that comes out very clearly. I mean, I would probably struggle to learn all of these in a different setting,
I'm sure. Yeah.
but the classroom made it possible for me to ask the question, why is this not happening,
Hmm.
and why is it that this, I mean, something else leads to it, why is that happening,
Right.
how
Right.
can it be different.
Right.
And if the children in this particular classroom have to be at a different level in a school
Hmm.
like how I had studied,
Hmm.
what is that difference really? Is it only about the school? Is it about
Hmm.
the building, about the institution? Or is it really about the social setting that the children come from? Is it the way that I engage with them? There's so many facets to what contributes to someone's growth.
Right. Right.
And that in an education space is so complex.
Correct. Correct.
That understanding of complexity has evolved over time for me.
Mm.
And thankfully, it started off in the classroom.
Nice. Interestingly, you've just drifted into my next question, which was I really wanted to understand why you decided to do a fellowship. Now, we've offered a lot of trigger questions that kind of compelled you to pursue that path. But how did it change the way you looked at the problem? You know, how did the fellowship experience get you to change the way you looked at this problem?
So before the fellowship, if you had asked me what will make a good classroom, I would have said all the things that are visible to the eyes. Right now, if you ask me the same question, I'm definitely going to tell you all of those, but more importantly, the things that are not visible.
Right.
The invisible aspects or the intangible ones are the more deeper ones that have the largest impact on a child as well as the teacher. And in this particular case of being inside a classroom with the children for 2 years, you're actually journeying with every child as they evolve. And when you're going through the journey, they become your teacher in many ways. And if I have a little bit of a clarity on what I want to do, is only because I have been able to get that through every child's journey.
Right.
And somehow in the community that I work, most of the parents were very invested in the children, but they didn't have an understanding of what is it that they wanted to do. They
Right.
should be doing towards the child's betterment. And it was very interesting and very surprising for me to see that when the parents teacher meeting happened, it was not that they wanted the child to be scolded. They
Right.
want to hear that the child is doing well.
Well.
And when you're able to do that, they look up to you like someone who is a savior for their child. That's
Right.
a lifeline that parents who, especially in the low income communities, are depending on.
Right.
Someone is going to make this possible for my child, something that was not possible for me.
Correct.
And that was highly transformative for me because I knew I was not doing something miraculous. It was a simple thing of identifying what is already good in the child and sharing it with them. And right now, that is not happening across a lot of schools. And a lot of systems don't have that sense of every child has the potential, every child will be able to do better. We just need to identify the ways in which that can be done.
Right.
So these gaps in the system was what I was able to identify much better by doing things that came naturally to me. Again, there were many trials I did based on someone's recommendation of best practices, but somehow not everything worked out for me. Maybe because of the person that I am, maybe because of the place that I was working in. But when I was able to tweak those and contextualize it to the classroom that I was working in, it gave me a lot of learning. It also gave the children a lot of opportunities to do better.
Right.
I think those are my largest takeaways and probably my learnings as well during the fellowship. And that has helped me a lot in the whatever roles I've done later on. And it also evolved me as a person in terms of how I'm handling different things. I no longer look at 1 + 1 as 2. I look at that plus as the more important thing, not as just one connection. It is the most important factor. If it is not a plus, if it's a minus, if it is a into, it could be a lot of different things. So the relationship between people, what it does in that particular equation is very important.
Wonderful.
So that is, yeah.
Right. I really loved how you shared that, identifying what's good in the child was really your role, and you were not a savior. What the parents saw you as is different, but you clearly understood your role in the classroom as someone who is just, triggering what was good in the child. And thank you for touching upon the skills that one eventually develops by being a part of a fellowship. Now, you rejoined Bhumi after your fellowship as a senior manager, and you were instrumental in leading the communities program among many, among others. Can you tell us if your fellowship experience helped you in your journey after the fellowship, and if it did, how did it do that?
So it was actually very natural for me to come back to Bhumi because this was hometown. Uh, but what I didn't really know was what I wanted to do very clearly. I knew I wanted to work with those families more and more, but it kept pricking in my mind somewhere that that's not enough. I joined to take care of the curriculum development and program management for the volunteer programs then. But when the floods happened, the situation especially was very dire with the low income communities, and uh, I was completely helpless to go and support my children's families.
Right.
When I went to provide the support, I realized it was not just those 20 children and their families, but the 200 other families in that particular place were as helpless as everyone else was. And this was not a situation in one part of the city, but it was across. The most impacted was always the most poor, the most vulnerable, and they were also looking for someone else to provide that support. And that was very surprising because I've seen those people doing all the support services for everyone else,
Right.
meaning that they have the capacity to help others, they can also help themselves.
Right.
But somehow they have also been at the receiving end of all the aid. At that moment, they needed all the help from others, but that cannot be the way they continue.
Right.
If there are ways in which the community can empower themselves, that's the way to sustain any development. This thought or this particular idea kind of stuck to my head for quite some time. We were doing the flood relief work, and one discussion with Doc was about what can we do about it, and he said, "We'll look at something like this. Let's try and work on it." And once there is something inside my head, I can't stop thinking about it. So
We
I
know.
kind of started building on how this would materialize for organization to take it up. And we kind of like figured out. I discussed with a few fellows, and I went back to my parents to understand what it would really help for them. Again, we're not talking about material support that'll be available today, that'll be consumed tomorrow, and then gone. But what would really help them in terms of moving forward for their future, more long term. But again, it should be something that we can do as a volunteer organization. If it is something that we will be able to do within the community, then it is something that has to be not as a service. Someone is going to go and do charity is not what we want it to be. So the idea of the community program kind of evolved from that place. We started off with doing the same programs that we do in the shelter homes in the communities. There were some hiccups, so we wanted to understand what that would be, and obviously, people had to be local. External people coming in was a challenge for the people within the community as well as for people coming in. So these were a lot of small things that needed to be corrected in the model that we evolved initially. And we did a pilot of 10 centers in the first year. A lot of learning there, a lot of challenges in terms of engaging with the people, gaining the trust in the new community to go in as an organization that's new there, who is not willing to provide the material support or material charity, but here to provide educational services. That was not seen as something that give me a bucket, give me some rice, give me some food, give me a mixie, give me a grinder. That's what they used to. Someone is going to do something good, then give me something. But what we said was, we are going to be setting up a center where your children can learn, especially the children who are lagging behind in schools.
Right.
We are going to try and identify what we are lagging in and help them bridge that gap. If we are able to do this now, probably the children, when they get to class 9 and 10, that's where the automatic promotion to the next level stops. At class 9, class 10, children have to take up a very serious exam. Schools typically will filter out children who are struggling in class 9. So those who are just above border will go to class 9, but if they are not able to cope, they are probably going to fail.
Right.
What happens to a person who fails in class 10? They don't have a certification that will allow them to learn any further. If they
Correct.
don't have a certification, then probably all that they are going to be able to do is some kind of menial job that doesn't improve their life.
Right.
It's a vicious cycle that we are trying to break here.
Hmm.
We wanted to make the parents understand that it is not going to be visible today, the
Hmm.
difference that your child is going to be able to um, internalize in terms of their skills. But
Hmm.
surprisingly, the parents were able to see the difference. In
Right.
parents teachers meeting, we were able to actually get some feedback from parents that right now my child is able to read a few sentences. Earlier, he never used to do that.
Hmm.
He is now able to help me write my name. I
Right.
don't think my child has ever learned to write before.
Hmm.
Those were things that we didn't expect to see within the first year, and
Hmm.
those were very encouraging.
Hmm.
So we moved on to 25 centers across the city. We also expanded the team that was managing this, and there was a lot of things that we could do.
Hmm.
And this really made a difference in terms of what a community center itself could be.
Right.
But in all of this, my biggest learning was it has to be from within the community that any change has to come.
Hmm.
When we wanted to organize a cultural program for children, we asked the children and the parents, what do you want the program to be? They're
Right.
very into singing, dancing, and the cinema songs was what they were used to. But when
Hmm.
we asked them, if you are going to decide what is good for your child, then what should it be?
Hmm.
Then they thought back to when I was in school, we used to dance for only folk songs and all of these. And those were ideas we started bringing in, and it made a difference in investing in the communities.
Correct. So
So those were, yeah,
I understand how the program evolved,
yeah.
but I'm looking more to understand how your fellowship experience helped in this journey, because I saw a very different Vaishnavi when you came back after Teach for India. Your understanding about pedagogy, what a curriculum should look like, and you had a lot of jargons which I still don't understand. So I mean, what kind of skills did you gain, and how did that experience help you in creating this program? Is what I'm trying to understand.
Right. So Teach for India actually was a very interesting experience because a lot of things was hands-on.
Right.
But at the same time, we also had a support system within the institution that provided us with the right tools or the nudges to think: are you thinking of everything possible for from your end for your child?
Right.
And when we wanted to explore or do something new, we were provided all the tools.
Right.
The tools were in terms of different teaching aids that were used in different other schools in India, abroad, and a lot of different things that we could try out.
Hmm.
There were ways in which we were evaluated that helped us break down why we are doing certain things and how we can do better. And
Hmm.
our system of performance was also based on how the children perform,
Hmm.
what is actually changing in terms of children's behavior, not necessarily only in the marks.
Hmm. Hmm.
So by going through this, I was able to understand that when we are talking about doing something, there are many ways to doing it, and the best manner of getting any result is to invest the person who you're trying to do this for,
Right.
and to get that understanding and to find ways of investing people is something that I learned through the 2.0 journey. It
Hmm.
was mostly with the parents of my kids. It
Hmm.
was also working with the school leader. It was also working with other teachers. There were other fellows in other schools that wanted to do something else. We wanted to do something else. How do we collaborate when there is a challenge in terms of resources, challenge in terms of time? I think there are many lessons that we can talk about during the fellowship journey. It is definitely a management lesson in many ways: time
Right.
management, resource management, self management
Hmm.
to a great extent, but also a sense of what are all available in terms of
Hmm.
in your field of education. If
Right.
you want to pursue further in communities, what are
Right.
all the ways in which you can engage? If you
One.
want to pursue working with school leadership, then
Hmm.
what are the things that you can do? How
Hmm.
to build leadership in a setup where everything is very dynamic, or
Hmm.
is too settled that there can be complacency.
Right. Right.
So both of these are very different. You don't always get to experience all of these in
Hmm.
one particular place. But thankfully, the fellowship was able to provide these lessons.
Right. Got it. Thank you so much. Now speaking of that, how crucial do you think this experience of a fellowship is in shaping the journey of those who want to give back to the system, particularly to improve the system? And if there's one advice that you would offer these youngsters who are seeking to change, what would that be?
Someone who is not afraid to dirty their hands, roll up their sleeves, and get down to work is someone who is definitely well suited for a fellowship. Because
Hmm.
there's definitely going to be a place where you have to get on the ground, realize what is the requirement,
Hmm.
do your best,
Right.
and push yourself a little more.
Hmm.
Uh, this is not going to be easy, but it is also going to be very rewarding.
Hmm.
You're probably going to make friends for life. You're going to probably enjoy every moment that you come back and sit and say, every bone in my body is aching, but I had the best time of my life. All
Hmm.
of those will happen, but it will also be the time that you are able to get a sense of who you are
Right.
in a very real sense. This is not something I want to do. This is something that really uh, energizes me. This is something that inspires me. Is something you'll realize. For
Right.
anyone who wants to take up a journey in the social space,
Hmm.
I think there cannot be a more rewarding experience than going on ground and doing things, experiencing it. A
Right.
fellowship is a very good platform to do it because it's more like a you're committing for a short term. I mean, in terms of looking at your life being say 60-year journey, 1 or 2 year fellowship is a small time investment. It's more like a trial.
Right.
So, are you ready for something long term in this particular space?
Right.
And if you're able to commit to that, and if
Hmm.
you're able to live through that experience, you'll probably come out of that journey as a more evolved person, as a more mature
Hmm.
person with an understanding of what is it that you really want to do.
Right.
And I'm not sure if all other ways in which you can gain such an experience are going to be that short term.
Hmm. Hmm.
There are people who go through many different trainings journeys to do that, but I'm not sure if your experience in a social space will be as what do I say, as focused in
Hmm.
fellowship as
Hmm.
in any other role. It can also happen through a job. It can also happen through a college degree. But I'm saying it has a variety. Fellowship offers that variety of what are all open to you, and
Right.
you have this freedom to explore
Hmm.
and decide what you want to do because
Right.
the ownership completely lies with you.
Right.
Designing your own fellowship journey is that that freedom and flexibility is what makes it possible for you to see, yes, I want to do more of this, I don't want to do more of this, and there is a space for you to explore. Of course, there will be some responsibilities for you to fulfill
Right.
because there are people who are going to gain out of it, and if we don't do our work during the fellowship,
Hmm.
probably they are going to lose out.
Right.
When you're in the fellowship, you don't want to really let those people down.
Hmm. Hmm.
You will, I mean, it may not seem like very important right now, but if you have children in front of you, if you have families in front of you looking up to you, you definitely don't want to let them down.
Right. Right.
But going through that journey will definitely transform you.
Wonderful. And at the, I mean, with the Bhumi Fellowship, also that's exactly what we are also looking to do by creating a platter of opportunities for the fellows to eventually say that, hey, this is the problem that I would like to address, and this is my solution for the problem, and not restricting them by any location, where they giving them the opportunity to go back to the spaces that they belong, like the feeling of wanting to be there and solve a solution, the local problem as such. Now, you mentioned that community is one area that you chose after your fellowship, particularly because of your engagement with the parents. So, what kind of opportunities in the social space are available to fellows once they graduate? Could you tell us a little bit about your experience with that as well?
So There are quite a few fellowships that offer placement right after or during the last few months of the fellowship, and many of my fellows, my co-fellows, have also gone through the placement to join different organizations. I kind of discussed with Bhumi before I finished it, so I didn't go through a placement process. But what I understand is that a fellowship is seen equivalent to a master's degree in a lot of organizations, and they see a fellowship, especially performance during the fellowship, the various activities that you've engaged in, the skills that you've gained, as equivalent to having a work experience as well as a full-time intensive course that you've done in that particular field,
Right.
which is a double win because you have work experience now to add to your profile. At the same time, you also have on-ground experience of what is it that really works, what doesn't work. That is a very different kind of expertise that you kind of gain. Uh, so there are, especially in the education space, curriculum roles, content development is something that's offered widely to some of the fellowship people. If you already have done some level of managing people, then program managing, especially program, what do I say? Building up new programs is something that can be done using people who have finished their fellowship, because you know how to work with people, get that experience, and you have already handled a lot of stakeholders, which is very important there.
Right.
And depending on your previous background also, the seniority within the organization would also play out. You may join as a program associate, or if you already have some work experience, you may join as a program manager.
Correct.
That those differences will be there. But I more recently I've seen a lot of organizations actually adding fellowship experiences to their JD, and saying if you've had work experience or if you have fellowship experience, then you're eligible to apply for this kind of role. So a lot of these are available. But if you have a particular niche area, then there are organizations that are looking for someone who's done particular projects within your fellowship that you can probably share with them and get your idea to be shared, and then depending on how that goes, they probably take on that idea and build it up, or sometimes they integrate it into their project programs.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's, I think I like the summary of, the different opportunities that are available in the social space. We are now going to take some questions that are coming in. But before that, I see that they're related to the fellowship. So any final thoughts from you, Vaish, because I don't want to keep you holding. So final thoughts from you.
Uh, I'm very happy Bhumi is launching this fellowship, especially in whole school transformation, because there's a space that actually needs more people. And we are talking about a country that has more than a lakh schools, and we are talking about crores of children who are going to go through this. There's not a one-time thing.
Right.
Every year there's a new set of children that's going to go through the system, and the better the system, they are going to have a better future. And there's no point in complaining about where the system is broken, how broken it is, and not be able to do anything about it. If you are considering it, apply, go through it. It's not going to cost you a lot of time, energy. It is definitely going to take a lot of commitment, but it's not going to be a bad decision. You will, I mean, for anyone who is thinking, is this for me? I'd say try it and see. It's not something that can go wrong in many ways. You will
Right.
definitely gain. What is your gain is going to be probably different for each person.
Right. Like you said, it's just 2 years of investing in a fellowship is going to be worth it. And definitely in a lifetime of 60 years, you can definitely set aside 2 years, is how you put it. And I hope that people out there will definitely consider investing this time to grow as individuals, to build these skills that are essential if they're very serious about pursuing a career in the social sector itself. So I would also like to take this opportunity to thank you, Vaish, for being one of our pillars of support when the whole school transformation program was being designed. How you came forward to bring in the primary pillars that were required, the support structures that had to be built in, the training components, and how you administered the program with the implementation of the program as well. So thank you so much for being our guiding light, and we hope to see you mentor our fellows as well in their journey. So I'm going to be taking the questions on the fellowship now. So if you would like to drop out, I'm more than happy. Thanks a lot for joining us, Vaish.
Thank you so much. All the best, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good evening. So now we have a couple of minutes to quickly take the questions that are coming in about the fellowship. Is the Bhumi Fellowship connected to Teach for India in any way? No, we are not. Bhumi is an independent organization, and this is a fellowship in whole school transformation. So the fellows will be working closely with the other stakeholders as well. So they're not really just in the classroom to teach, but they'll also be closely working with teachers and headmasters. Is the Bhumi Fellowship exclusive for people who speak Tamil? At this point in time, yes. We have launched the fellowship only in Chennai, and for the next couple of years, it's going to be driven here in the Chennai schools. So applications are open to individuals from across the country who know Tamil, who can speak Tamil. So that is one reason why Tamil is necessary. A lot of questions coming in about the language. I hope I've answered that. How the fellowship helped you develop your life personally is a question that Vaishnavi had already answered. In terms of some of the skills that she was able to develop, critical thinking, problem solving, in being able to work with the communities, closely with the communities to understand what their challenges are, and to be able to design a solution that addressed some of their challenges. So Bhumi's community program is Vaishnavi's brainchild, and so the skills that she developed during the fellowship were instrumental in helping in building the program or putting together the program. Is the opportunity for those who specialize in community development is not restricted to any particular people from any particular domain. We're looking for graduates, anyone who between the age of 21 and 25 years is what we're looking at. More details are available on the website fellowship.bhumi.ngo. That's fellowship.bhumi.ngo. I have completed my application process, but still haven't got any confirmation mail. If you've already submitted your application, please consider that it's been that we've received it. We are in the process of shortlisting these applications, and we'll definitely get in touch with you very soon. I can speak Tamil, but not completely, even though I'm born and brought up in Tamil Nadu. Would that be an issue? That is something that we will get in touch with you based on your application. We'll get in touch with you to get that, to understand that better. Okay, so I'm just going to share one slide for those who were not with us at the launch. So that is going to give you an understanding of what the fellowship is. So Bhumi's whole school transformation program focuses on having a fellow deployed at one particular school, where they work directly with the teachers, school leaders, and the children. With the children, they will be in the classroom in year one, where they will be, there is 12 to 15 hours of working with children directly to understand what goes into creating a good lesson plan, a greater understanding of pedagogy, and what are the possible struggles of a teacher, trying to be more being in the shoes of a teacher as a teacher himself or herself. With teachers, where we will be working closely with improved pedagogical practices, how can their involvement be improved, how can they learn to take more initiatives, are some of the interventions. With the school leaders, mostly who are mostly caught in administrative decision making, getting them to vision for the school. What are some of the efficient leadership practices that they can adopt to be able to run their school better is what the fellow will be directly focusing on. Now, in the process, we believe that by working directly with these stakeholders and eventually with the parents also, we would be able to build an ecosystem that will be favorable and is centered around the holistic development of the child. So this is a snapshot of the fellowship, or what the theory of change of the fellowship is going to look like. Um, Eventually, our idea is also engaging with the youth, scaling the program across Tamil Nadu and to other parts of India as well, but at a later point in time, maybe 3 years, 5 years from now. In the process, also be able to build entrepreneurs. Like I mentioned, we're looking at creating social entrepreneurs who will identify an area of concern, what they would like to work on. It can be working with the communities, improving parental engagement in the school, or it could be attending to nutrition or anything of that sort. An idea, a space for them to choose, pick a problem that affects education of children directly, the quality of education directly. So we will be creating those. The platform will provide you with those skills that will make you a social entrepreneur, and you can go back to building or implementing these solutions in your space. So if you are yet to register for the fellowship, we request you to go to fellowship.bhumi.ngo and register yourself. After which the application form will also be shared. Please note that registration is just step 0. Step 1 is to complete the application form. So if you have not yet completed your application form, we request you to complete this. You would have got an email with all the details. So please ensure that you complete your application form. So with that, we're wrapping up with this webinar. We will be taking the other questions on Facebook. I will be responding to each of those. If you have anything else, you could email us. You can contact us. The details are available on the website. Please take a couple of minutes to go through the FAQ page. Your questions are probably answered already. And if there's anything other than that, please drop in an email, and we'd be more than happy to answer your questions. So yeah, hope to see you at the next webinar. We will be meeting you again next Saturday with one other change maker who has also gone through a fellowship, and to understand what he is doing now and how his experiences have transformed his perceptions of the education system altogether. Thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week. Till then, stay safe, stay home. Bye.